All right, so are you ready to like jump into this whole AI agent thing with us because it seems like it's everywhere right now, and we're gonna take a deep dive into all the sources you shared to try to really figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because, we're not just talking about like simple AI tasks anymore. This is like next level stuff.
Yeah, it's like the difference between saying, "Hey, AI, summarize this document for me," and "Hey, AI, manage like my entire investment portfolio based on like real-time market data and like, my risk tolerance." So that's like a pretty big difference.
Yeah, and that's that like dynamic life cycle thing that's really important. Like a traditional AI workflow, it's kind of like a train on a track,
Hmm.
right? It's good at like repetitive tasks,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't deviate from its programming at all. But an AI agent is more like a self-driving car. It can analyze its environment, make decisions based on what's happening in real time, and even learn from its experiences to like improve its performance. You know what I mean?
Mm. Oh, that's a really good analogy, actually. I like that. So it's not just about AI doing things, it's about figuring out how to do things, even when things are changing around it. That's pretty cool. But I gotta say, like, some of our sources, they seem to be using the term AI agent for anything with like a little bit of AI in it.
That's true. There's definitely some hype out there, but the potential is real. Like OpenAI, for example, they just launched a new set of tools specifically for like developing custom AI agents.
Okay.
These tools let developers create agents that can interact with different applications, gather information, and even like execute actions for the user,
Oh, wow.
like on their behalf.
So are we talking about AI taking over our jobs then? Because, I mean, some of these sources, they're saying that AI agents are about to join the workforce. That's a pretty big statement.
It is, and while it's unlikely that AI agents will be replacing like entire professions anytime soon, I do think they can definitely change the way we work.
Okay.
Imagine an AI agent that handles all your scheduling, your email, even your travel arrangements,
Oh my God.
so you can focus on more strategic tasks.
Duh. That would be amazing. But what about the people who like rely on doing those tasks for a living, right? And how do we even know that these AI agents are making the right decisions?
Yeah, those are totally valid concerns, and we're going to get into those ethical and societal implications like a little bit later in our deep dive. But for now, let's just stick with like what's actually happening to these AI agents.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about like a specific example because this one's generating a lot of buzz. Manus AI, it's this invite-only AI agent. It was developed in China, and people are going crazy trying to get an invite code.
Manus is really interesting because it's being marketed as a truly autonomous AI agent.
Oh, wow.
And while that term autonomous needs some unpacking, the idea is that Manus can operate with like very minimal human intervention. You give it a goal and it figures out the best way to achieve it using a combination of different AI techniques like from natural language processing to machine learning.
So instead of just following a pre-programmed script, Manus is actually making decisions and taking actions on its own. That sounds incredibly powerful and potentially a bit scary.
Exactly. It's like giving an AI the keys to the car and hoping it knows the rules of the road.
Right.
The potential is huge. Imagine Manus handling like complex research projects or generating creative content or even managing entire business operations. But yeah, the risks are also pretty significant.
Yeah. I'm starting to see a pattern here. It seems like the world of AI is shifting from like these single purpose tools to more complex, adaptable agents that can potentially handle a much wider range of
Yeah, and
tasks.
that shift is going to have some pretty profound implications, not just for the tech industry, but for society as a whole. Yeah. We need to think about the potential benefits like increased efficiency and problem-solving capabilities, but also the potential downsides like job displacement and those ethical considerations we talked about.
Which is exactly what we're going to do in this deep dive. We'll explore both the exciting possibilities and the very real concerns surrounding AI agents. But before we get into that, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the current state of the AI agent landscape.
Well, one thing that stands out to me is just the sheer pace of innovation. We're seeing new breakthroughs and applications emerging like almost daily. It's incredible. And another interesting aspect is that growing tension between the people who are pushing for rapid development and those who are advocating for caution and regulation.
And that tension is something we need to unpack carefully because it's like at the heart of the AI agent debate. So for all you deep divers out there, stay tuned as we explore the good, the bad, and the unknown of this rapidly evolving field. Okay, so we've talked about like the big picture of AI agents, like how they work, but like now I want to get into like what they can actually do because our sources mention some pretty amazing potential applications.
Yeah, one area that's particularly exciting is like infrastructure management, specifically preventing power grid failures.
Okay. That sounds incredibly important, especially with like our growing reliance on electricity.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. So think about it. Our power grids are incredibly complex systems with like tons of data points to
How?
monitor. You've got like weather patterns, energy consumption, the condition of like individual components. It's a massive task for human operators to like keep track of everything and predict potential problems.
No, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So how can an AI agent help with that?
Well, an AI agent could be constantly analyzing all of that data in real time, looking for like patterns and anomalies that might indicate an impending failure. And it could even learn from past incidents and adapt its predictions based on changing conditions.
So that sounds like it could revolutionize how we manage our energy infrastructure, but is this just a theoretical possibility, or are there actual examples of this happening?
There are already companies and researchers working on this. Some are developing AI systems that can automatically detect and fix like minor grid faults without any human intervention at all.
Wow.
Others are using machine learning to pinpoint infrastructure components that are most at risk of damage from natural disasters.
That's really impressive. It sounds like AI agents could make our power grids more resilient and reliable, which would obviously have huge benefits for like everyone.
Exactly. And this is just one example.
Yeah.
AI agents are also making significant strides in the field of robotics.
Robots, okay, I have to admit, this is where I start to get a little nervous. I've seen enough sci-fi movies to know that robots can be unpredictable.
I understand the concern,
Yeah.
but it's important to remember that we're not talking about like robots becoming sentient or developing their own agendas, at least not yet.
Okay, good. That's a relief. But how are AI agents changing the world of robotics?
Well, traditionally, robots have been programmed to perform very specific tasks in like very controlled environments.
Right?
But with AI, we're seeing the development of robots that can learn and adapt to new situations. They can navigate unfamiliar spaces, manipulate objects they've never encountered before, and even solve problems without like explicit instructions.
Wow. Are there any like real world examples of these AI powered robots? I'm having a hard time picturing what that would actually look like.
One example is in like logistics and warehousing companies like Amazon are already using robots to move packages around their warehouses.
Right.
But these robots are often limited to specific routes and tasks with AI. Those robots could become much more versatile, able to handle a wider range of items, optimize their paths, and even collaborate with human workers more effectively.
So it's not just about replacing human workers with robots, it's about creating a more like collaborative and efficient system.
Precisely. And that brings us to an important point. While there are definitely concerns about AI agents displacing jobs, there's also the potential for them to like augment human capabilities and create new opportunities.
That makes sense. I guess it's all about how we choose to use this technology, but how do we ensure that it's used responsibly? That's a question that comes up a lot in our sources.
It's a crucial question, and there are no easy answers. One thing that's becoming increasingly clear is that we need to have like open and honest conversations about the potential impact of AI agents on society.
Feels like we're at a crossroads. We have this incredibly powerful technology with the potential to do so much good,
Yeah.
but we also need to be aware of the potential risks. How do we strike that balance?
It's a challenge, and is one that requires a multifaceted approach. We need to think about things like education and workforce training, so people are equipped to work alongside these AI agents, and we need to develop robust ethical guidelines and regulatory frameworks to ensure that AI is developed and deployed responsibly.
So it's not just a technological issue, it's a societal issue as well. And it's
Yeah.
something that requires us to think long term, not just about the immediate benefits, but about the long term consequences.
You're absolutely right. This is about shaping the future,
Mhm.
and we all have a role to play in that. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about another aspect of AI agents that's generating a lot of discussion: the question of access and control.
That's a good point. Some of our sources express concern that AI agents are being developed behind closed doors with limited transparency and public oversight.
There's definitely a debate happening about how much control we want to give these AI agents and who gets to make those decisions.
This sounds like it ties back to the idea of AI being used responsibly. It's one thing to have guidelines, but who's enforcing them and how do we prevent potential misuse?
Those are tough questions, and there are a lot of different perspectives out there. Some argue for a more hands-off approach, letting the market drive innovation, and trusting that companies will self-regulate. Others believe that we need stronger government oversight and regulations to ensure that AI agents are developed and used ethically.
Yeah, it sounds like we're trying to walk this tightrope, between like pushing the boundaries of what's possible, but also making sure we're not, creating something that we can't control.
Oh, yeah. It is a delicate balance, and there are no like easy answers. But one thing's for sure, Ignoring the potential risks of AI agents is just not an option.
And some of our sources even suggest that certain AI companies are actually lobbying for fewer regulations.
All right.
They're arguing that too much oversight could, stifle innovation and hinder their ability to compete globally.
That's a really interesting point. It makes you wonder if we're prioritizing those like short-term gains over long-term consequences.
Exactly, and it makes me think about, who really benefits the most from this, really rapid AI development. Is it truly for the betterment of humanity, or are there, other motivations at play?
This is where the discussion needs to like go beyond just the technology itself and really delve into the economic and political landscape surrounding AI. We have to consider the role of these big tech companies, the influence of governments, and the potential for AI to actually exacerbate existing inequalities.
Yeah, it's complex, man. It's like every answer just leads to more questions. But I think that's kind of the nature of exploring a field as transformative as AI. There are no simple solutions, only ongoing conversations and a lot of careful consideration.
That's right. And those conversations need to involve like a lot of diverse voices from technologists and researchers to ethicists, policymakers, and even just the general public.
One of the things that struck me while going through these sources was this sense of urgency surrounding the development of AI agents. There's this race to be the first, the best, the most advanced.
That competitive drive is definitely like fueling a lot of innovation,
Right.
but it also raises concerns about whether we're sacrificing, those important ethical considerations in the pursuit of like technological dominance.
Especially when you consider the global nature of AI development. Our sources mention this competition between the U.S. and China in particular as a key factor shaping the whole AI landscape.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Both countries are investing so much in AI research and development, and they're definitely vying for leadership in this field, which, can be a good thing in a way because that competition can push each side to innovate and like explore new possibilities.
Right. But it also has the potential to create an AI arms race where the focus shifts from responsible development to just outpacing the competition no matter the consequences.
Exactly. And that's the scenario we need to be very cautious about the future of AI. Shouldn't be about winning or losing. It should be about harnessing its power to address like those big global challenges and improve the lives of all people.
So after all this discussion, I think the big question is, what do we do with all this information? What does this all mean for the average person who might not be an AI expert, but is still, impacted by these advancements?
I think the first step is awareness. Like you said, understanding the potential of AI agents, both the good and the bad, is crucial. But it's not enough to just be aware. We need to be actively engaged in shaping the future of this technology.
So what would that look like? What can we do as individuals to make sure AI is developed and used responsibly?
There are so many ways to get involved, like stay informed about the developments in AI support organizations that are promoting ethical AI principles and, voice your concerns to policymakers. The choices we make today will have a huge impact on the future of AI. So it's really important that we all participate in this conversation.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of AI agents. It's a field that's full of possibilities and complexities, and it's moving really fast.
Yeah, it is. And what we've talked about today is really just the beginning. The future of AI is still being written, and it's up to all of us to ensure that it's a future that benefits humanity.
So to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking those tough questions because the choices we make about AI today are going to shape the world of tomorrow.